Welcome to the Sandwich Generation podcast, a resource for adults balancing the dual responsibilities of raising children and caring for aging parents. Whether you're helping your parents downsize, explore real estate options, navigating caregiving, or looking for practical advice to help your family thrive, this is the place for you. Join us as we bring you expert insights, heartfelt stories, and actionable items to support you and your family within this unique generation.
Hello, hello. You're dancing.
Trying to dance to the music.
Are you trying to wake up?
I'm actually really cold, so I'm like, maybe if I dance, move
know.
around a little bit.
This weather is not fair.
I know.
This is the time of year in Indiana where it's like, just come on, spring.
Yeah, we go
Be
through like
warm.
multiple seasons in one day. I'm just waiting for either myself or my boys, Adam, one of us to get sick because we were baseballing. We're back to baseball, and Sunday it was like cold, and then we got poured on a couple times, and I'm just like, yeah, someone's gonna end up sick. So
I loved watching Owen play, but I don't miss that.
I'm trying to figure out, like, before you had kids and you felt like you were so busy, and it was like, felt like you had like things to do all the time, right? And then you have kids and you realize, wow, I really had all the time in the world to do whatever. Like I really didn't have anything to do, even though I thought I did. And so now I keep thinking about that. Like what is that going to be like when they're gone? And what am I going to do with all my time? I'm already starting to freak out about it.
That's probably
I'm sure I'll
have
find
like
things,
their midlife crisis and like existential crisis and whatnot. The men go and buy like red Corvettes and
well,
whatever.
let's hope that maybe I'll get like really health conscious and like work out all the time or something.
Oh, nice.
Probably won't happen.
I do. I need my workouts. Like I have to do yoga or I won't be able to move, and I'll probably also not be a very nice person. So I gotta have.
Do you do it at home or do you go somewhere?
No, but a lot of people do. There's lots of videos and stuff. No, I go to Lifetime Fitness.
Okay,
you can come with me sometime.
Yeah, I don't know. I need something to like make me. I just try to get active. Like it doesn't matter what it is. If it's painting a room in my house or like every day I'm trying to find something where I'm just busy. So
I feel like I don't know how you do in yoga. I mean, maybe go to the first one by yourself. I don't know. It's very like your mind, like you're being mindful, you're focusing on your breathing, but then you're also focusing on your stretching and strength and balance all at the same time, which is why I love it, because it's a really efficient workout. And some types of yoga, there's even some cardio in there. There's different types, but and some of them you have to hold positions for a really long time. Like you're just sitting there, and sometimes I'll just get out of them. I mean, that's the thing with yoga. You can really do whatever you want, even if you're in a class and you just feel moved to do a different pose than everybody else is doing. You can, and there's like, just do whatever you want. So if you ever want to go.
That part of it I'd be fine with. It'd be the like being mindful and slowing, like the meditation part. I don't know that I'm not good at that.
It's not like you're not going, no.
I
mean,
but just
maybe
having
they
to
do in
sit
some
and be
yogas.
still
Yeah.
is hard for me. So
you start out like that just to sort of bring your mind into the place and like shut everything else off and out in the outside world. And then you finish like that too. And everything in between is like just making your movements match your breathing. I'm not a yoga instructor, so I could be way off on this, but that's my experience anyway.
Well, I think I'd like it. I need to do it. I need to try it. Probably.
Well, you can come. I have 2 guest passes at Lifetime every month. So you are more than welcome. I go on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Sundays, or Saturdays typically. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. My favorite one is probably the Saturday morning class because all 3 of those are different yoga classes. So the one on Tuesday is a crazy one. It's like there's high intensity training in it also. So there's like you get your heart rate up in spurts. And then but you also do yoga and there's also weights in it. So it's like a crazy
Oh,
crazy
that's
class.
nice.
Never done yoga before. That's not the one to go to.
Ease into it.
Saturday morning or Mondays. Yeah. So if you
Okay.
ever want to go,
I feel
the
like
offer again.
that kind of so we just thought we'd kind of give a monthly update, talk about some random things.
I
And
know it's
that,
I like your term for it, your title. What is it again?
well, just having like some nourishing nuggets
A
that we
nourishing nugget.
talk about. But that's a good exercise is very important,
Yeah.
especially if you are being like a full-time caregiver for a loved one or a parent. Taking that time to do something
Yeah.
for yourself. We hear self-care. That's like, major buzzword that people throw around all the time now,
Mhm.
but it is very important. So yeah, maybe that will
I sent
encourage someone else to go try some yoga.
Oh, yeah. I sent my dad I occasionally I'll send him yoga videos. I think I mentioned it on here a couple weeks ago. I sent him, a yoga video, and I texted him and told him, "This link is real. It's not spam," because he
Yeah.
thinks everybody's out to get him and steal his identity and everything, which is good, that he's
Yeah.
cautious
Be
about that.
cautious.
But I was like, "I sent this to you. It's real." And I said, "It is a video of somebody doing chair yoga, so you don't have to get on the
Mhm.
floor." And he got all defensive. He's like, "I can get on the floor. Like, I can get on the ground." Like, "Okay."
Okay.
Because when
Good
I
for
was
you.
there, when I came back from Costa Rica, I stopped in there to see them, and he was complaining about his hip. And I had my hip replaced
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago, and so I was like showing him some yoga poses, but it was just like awkward him trying to get down on the ground and like do the pigeon pose or whatever. So I sent him the chair exercises to stretch his hips, and yeah, he's like, "I can get on the floor." So I'm like,
Okay.
okay.
Well, but can you get up? No, I'm just
Right.
kidding.
But that's the question. That's
Aw.
actually, and maybe you know this, that's actually a sign of how someone is aging, is about
Mhm.
how easily they can get up and down
Yeah.
off the ground.
Yeah.
I've been working on being able to do you should try this, and there's another one my daughter showed me too. I've been working on doing the yogi squat with my with my feet flat on the ground. So you're standing up straight, your feet are on the ground, and you can like shoulder width apart, and your toes are sort of pointed outward, and you squat all the way down. Babies do it all the time, easy, with
Mhm.
ease. But the older you get, the tighter your hips get, and your hip flexors, and the mobility in your ankles and everything. There's whole videos about how to if you've lost I'm spitting, if you've lost that ability to do that, about how to do that. So that's been my goal since I got my hip replaced, and I'm so close. My heels are still like a little bit off the ground, but being able to get up and down, that's
Yeah.
a sign
I
of
feel like I
how
feel
you're
like
aging.
yeah, I feel like I could do that pretty easy, but I've
There's
always been more
another one.
comfortable, but
Try
with the
it. And well, yeah, because you were in cheer, right?
yeah, and dance for a lot of years, but I also Colton's a catcher, baseball catcher,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I am constantly,
You're
like,
his
getting down in his poses or, stance or
Yeah.
whatever with him, but I've always done like, where I can sit down with my legs, crisscross applesauce, they say, on the
Yeah.
ground and be able to stand up straight up with no hands.
Yeah.
And so I like always just randomly like do that to make sure I can still do it.
Yeah, to make sure you can still
Like,
do it.
yeah.
I'm
And
still
even some,
20.
yeah, some of like even I think it's Colton. He's not very flexible, but like he can't even do it. He's like, how do you do that without using your hands? I'm like, you got to use your core and your butt and your legs. Like,
Yeah.
just get yourself up.
Yeah. Pick yourself up.
Yeah.
There's another one
Funny.
my daughter showed me. I don't even know where she got it from. When you're sitting in a chair, put one leg out straight and then stand up on the other leg with no hands. Just stand up.
I'll have to try that
Yeah.
one.
That one's very difficult. She can do it, no problem. But I'm like, I'm going to have to work up to that.
I think my
Yeah.
shortness works in my favor with that stuff usually, but
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Because you have a your
lower center of gravity.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm not that much taller than you.
I know, right? It's a plus, I
Yeah.
guess. There aren't a lot of pros of being a short person, but maybe that's
I
one
know. I know. So, what else do you want to talk about today? We did a little research on
Yeah.
some cool things.
I just thought we would share like maybe some books that we have found helpful, either personally or just in the whole senior aging, people that are aging, learning about them, how to communicate with them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That might be helpful for others to take a read or a listen to if they have the audio version. But so I thought we could share some of those and see what you have, what I have. And then I also thought about, I think just it seems like everyone I know has been going on a vacation or getting ready to go on vacation or just talking about summer vacations and some travel for seniors and how that I feel like just some personal family like of ours has one wants to go on some more trips and the other one's a little hesitant. And so,
Oh,
what can maybe give someone the encouragement to go ahead and just take that trip. And even though you feel like maybe you're not quite up to it anymore. So,
sure.
I don't know. It's just some things that running through my brain that I thought may be helpful for others. So,
Yeah.
as
You
we
said
know,
your
there's
brain was going
always
crazy.
a lot of things going through my brain. So,
Okay. Well, you want to start with the books and see how many books we have that are the same or different?
yeah. So I have
All
3.
right.
So you want to just alternate?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So the first one is a book that you gave to me, but also part
Yeah.
of being a certified senior housing professional. And it is this one. I'm going to hold it up, see if you can see it.
Yeah. Yep.
Wrong
How to say it to
way.
seniors. There you go.
How to Say It to Seniors by David Solie. It's closing the communication gap with our elders. So I loved this book. I feel like I just with my background have, always it's been easy for me to talk to older folks. They don't scare me. I'm not intimidated,
Yeah.
anything like that. But I think that also comes from my upbringing. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you actually, but I lived on the same property, large piece of property as my grandparents and my great
Oh.
grandmother. And I
Oh.
actually,
Yeah. I didn't know that.
yeah. So, I did not go a day in my childhood where I did not see my grandparents. They were there every day. So, I just never, maybe that's why I just love working with older people, but they've never been intimidating for me to talk with. But I know it is scary for a lot of people to just know how to talk with them, how to relate to them, how to, not that I say them like there's some like crazy, but just
Those people.
those people. This sounds so bad, but just knowing how to like have productive communication where you feel like you're not talking at them,
Mm-hmm.
down to them. So this book does a really good job of that, of just handling difficult topics and how to have a successful conversation and bring up things that, might be a little scary for you to want to approach or, with them, with your parents or your loved ones. So that's my first one, How to Say It to Seniors by David Solie.
What I like in particular about that book is how it touches on the developmental psychology of aging. Mm-hmm. And so, our parents or our aging loved ones are not being stubborn. They're just trying to stay in control in a world where they feel like they're losing more and more control every single day.
Yeah.
And because I feel like if you can grasp that concept of the person, you can have just more patience and give them more grace, and which will affect how you respond to them, in certain situations. So yeah, that's a really good one. And I think David Solie himself had some health issues. And so I don't think this book is on Audible. I know I'm a huge Audible fan. I mean, I like books. I like opening them, and especially that one because it's like you can use it as a workbook and sort of flip back and refer to different things. But I don't think that one's on Audible. So you have to read it.
You have to actually read it.
Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite ones is Being Immortal by Atul Gawande.
That's my second one too.
Oh, I knew we were going to have some that were the same.
Here it is. That's what it looks like. Yep. Yeah.
So what I like about that one is just the quality over quantity in terms of life itself. What is a good day look like for you might be different than what it looks like for somebody else. And it talks about the importance of having the death conversations early, why we avoid them, and why it's important to start having those earlier. And it touches too on the independence piece, that control piece for when somebody's aging. So
yeah, I
don't have any of my books out to show you the covers.
That's okay.
I didn't grab them, but you have them.
I had them, so
yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. No, I had that down as a major one too, but because it talks a lot about our healthcare system and the end of life, but the overall healthcare system is there to help us get better, right? That's how people look at it and approach it, as like, well, you go to the doctor because there's something wrong and you're trying to get better. But at some point in our aging process, a lot of times there isn't that getting better piece. And so what does that look like for you as or for your family? And
how do you go through the dying process, I guess, with dignity? And it just sounds, even we talk about this all the time, or, these kind of topics all the time, but even saying it like that is like, I mean, there's two things that are certain in life, death and taxes, right? And so why aren't we talking about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and you hear about people that, are going on their third round of cancer treatments, and it's like, they just don't want to do it anymore. Like it's not that they're giving up. They're choosing the quality over the quantity. A lot of times where it's more important for them to just feel the best that they can in the end, and not feel like, they're putting all this stuff in their body that ultimately makes them feel like crap every day. And, at some point, I think a lot of people are forced to make that decision of what they want that to be. So it talks about that, and just, when you're deciding if you need to go to the emergency room, or is this just something that, they're not going to be able to fix sort of any longer, and what that might look like for you and your family. So, hard conversations and hard things to read about, but I do think it's what matters in the end. And that's what his little tagline is medicine and what matters in the end. So yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. My last one is, it's kind of funny, but it goes along with our what we do, downsizing. Nobody wants your shit. The art of decluttering before you die. And it sounds kind of, but it's by Messie Condo. And she is just tells it like it is. And I think if you can handle that, if you're somebody that can handle a few curse words, because she likes to use those, but also just blatantly tell you that nobody wants your, clothes that are 40, 50 years old, or no one needs a blender that hasn't worked for 10 years, but you still have it in the, just throw it away. So
Right.
I love this book for the downsizing piece and getting rid of the crap. I mean, yeah. So that's
I like that book. And because sometimes we have to be blunt like that to our clients. And I think they receive it better from us than they do their family members because we're not so close to them. Whereas, if their adult child tells them, Mom, nobody wants your shit, they might take it more personal because they've just got so many underlying, ties there in that relationship. So when I feel like we could get away with being a little bit more blunt sometimes with our clients than their family members could. Do you think?
Oh,
do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think they just receive it better coming from some, a third party, so to speak, not somebody that's so closely related. But, and I used to say that to a lot of our clients when I worked in home health care, and I still say it now in what I do now, but you can let me be the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's not like I like to be mean or blunt to people, but it usually is better received from someone else, as someone outside of the family. So yeah, I mean, I say it all the time, just, I understand the situation. Just let me, you keep your relationship how it should be. And, I can be the bad guy and it's usually going to be received a little better. But also the piece of just, they think they have like the memories and the emotions tied into some of these things that they're holding on to that directly involve that person that they're hoping wants this item. So whether it's China's one thing that we continue to, all of our clients seem to have it, and sometimes
At
have
least one set, if not more.
Yeah. They have theirs, their moms, their aunts, their grandmas, sets of china. And they're like heartbroken that no one wants it. And so that's, one of those things that just becomes, it's a conversation that just has to be had. They just have to understand the reality of it, that people don't use it. People don't want it. If it can't be put in the dishwasher, they definitely don't want it. And people don't want to, just have it like on the like they don't want to have to keep it in boxes or store it, kind of thing. So, it's interesting when you get into the downsizing, decluttering part of things with people. So, yeah.
You can't put a price on sentimental value. And so, we don't even try because that's a very subjective way to value something. So, but there are people out there who do collect china or, look for those things at auction companies or estate sales. They're looking for a specific piece or they want to, replace missing pieces in their sets or whatever they're doing with it. And so, letting it go to an auction or an estate sale, it just gives somebody else a chance to use your stuff and appreciate it and add it to their list of sentimental items. So, I mean,
And
I'd much rather.
Well, those people are actually out there seeking it. And so I'd rather give it to someone, whether I know it or not. But if it's somebody that's actually going to use it and find value in it, I'd rather them have it than to give it to, a granddaughter that's just going to keep it in its box and never get it out.
Yeah.
So,
or they feel, the granddaughter feels obligated to take it because they don't want to, they want to honor their grandparents and they don't want to hurt their feelings. And there's just no reason for that. When we talk about quality over quantity, a lot of people don't even have formal living rooms or formal dining rooms anymore in their houses. Remember, speaking of formal living rooms, a lot of people had that room where nobody sat.
I have one of those.
Even plastic on. Yeah, but yours is nice. It feels your house, the way it flows, it feels like that's a useful room. But some people had plastic on the.
Oh yeah, you just never. You just looked at that room. You just walked right on by. You don't go in it.
The fancy room. Yeah, so people don't really have those rooms anymore. And so, there's not as much use for that china and 17 serving serving dishes and whatnot. So anyway, well, I had one more book. I'm looking for it on my list of books here. I have not read this book, but I want to read this book. It is, where did it go? 36-Hour Day. I've heard a lot about this book. I just haven't had a chance to read it. It's by Nancy L. Mace and Peter V. Rabins. And so it's about caregivers caring for loved ones with dementia, in particular adult children and spouses. So understanding.
I want to read that one too.
Yeah. 36-Hour Day. Over the years, I've heard that book mentioned by so many people. I just haven't had a chance to grab it. But yeah. So
maybe we can both or one of us try to read it.
Yeah, we could do it.
Next month we can tell you what we thought and if it's good.
We can do a book review. Yeah, that works.
Cool. Okay, so those are some books to maybe check out that might help you in your journey with your aging loved ones. So I mentioned the travel thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think people retire and they think they're going to go do all this traveling, and they may do some of it, but then, age does creep up, and some of those travel things I think start to feel daunting or overwhelming for people. And so I know just personally, I would love to see people be able to do that as long as possible and enjoy those years where they're not working. And so I noticed I just traveled recently, and I was just more aware of how many people are being met at the gate of airplane at the airport departures, or being dropped off at the gate. I don't know if there were just more people this time around or if I'm more aware of it. But I noticed how many people were being escorted to the plane or off the plane, so that they could still go and enjoy. So I saw just a couple little things that I thought might be helpful for people. If you have an aging parent that still maybe wants to do some travel but feels like they can't any longer. So one of the things was to not get yourself locked into a destination, but go and look at flights that offer nonstop travel so that you're not having to do layovers and change planes and all that stuff. And then pick your destination based off of places that you can do you're going to get on and you're going to get off and you're at your destination. So I thought that was kind of an interesting tip to take into play. So look for nonstop flights. Most hotels, especially here in the US, are going to have special accommodations if you're making reservations. So, handicap accessible rooms, first floor rooms. Like you can usually, as long as you're scheduling or reserving in advance, make those requests and try to get that. But I remember one of our former sponsors for our Indy Senior Living series talked about doing a Europe trip. And she was okay, but some of her friends that she traveled with, when they got there, it never occurred to them that some of the hotels in Europe would not have elevators. And so they were going up 3 to 5 flights of stairs with their luggage, and they weren't able
I remember that.
to do that. That's not something I had really thought about. But if you're trying to go and that would be challenging for most people if you've got luggage for a couple weeks of your trip. And so you're talking about big suitcases and then having to try to get them upstairs, or even yourself. Not everyone can navigate multiple flights of stairs to get to a hotel.
And I imagine they're not like these huge wide stairs. Like if you're in an old historic building anywhere, not just in Europe, but they're going to be narrow, steep stairs. So I can't imagine trying to carry luggage.
Yeah. So just some things to think about if you are going to be traveling internationally. I mean, I definitely could still happen here in the US, but I think there's probably less of that here than if you're going internationally. So check those things out. And then airport escort assistance, which I already mentioned. So a lot of hotels will have that escort assistance as well, as far as shuttles to and from, where if you needed to have a wheelchair or a walker, that they're going to be able to accommodate that. But also the airlines. You can schedule that ahead of time where they're going to meet you at the gate. They're going to meet you at the when you get off, like they're going to get you to your next destination if you're not doing a nonstop flight. If you need to get to the car that's going to pick you up, like they're going to get you there. It's just a matter of calling, and I think you can maybe even do it online. I've not tried myself, but where you can book your ticket and then you can put that you require some special accommodations, and they'll follow up with you to see what those are. But navigating an airport, you can take that out of the equation if needed. So
if that's a concern. Yeah. And if you're an adult child and you are traveling with your parents, these are details that you can take care of for your parents, because I know this when my kids were little in particular, it was really difficult for us to travel with my parents because at least one of them is not that mobile. And so, when your kids are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like they're not, you got to keep it moving. You're going to the zoo, you're going to the museum, you're going to botanical gardens and things like that. You're not just sitting around,
right.
And so I think being mindful, if you are an adult child and you're traveling with parents or older loved ones, these are all things that you can take care of for them so that they can still be part of the family experience.
Yeah, so good to go. But then also on the flip side of that, I'm also thinking, like, if you're doing that type of a vacation, don't set yourself up for the expectation that they are going to be able to go do all those things. Like, that's okay. If they're there and they're able to be on the trip with you and do, a couple day things with you, but the other days are more relaxing days for them. Like, that's okay. That's fine. Everybody's happy that way. So,
Are you a traveler who likes to have an itinerary or an agenda every day? Are you sort of like go with flow?
no, I hate an itinerary.
Same. We, my kids and I, we travel. We try to get to as many national parks as we can, but we don't. The one thing that we do is just plan far in advance because you have to a lot of times to be able to get into some of the national parks. But also things are cheaper that way. Flights are less expensive. Airbnbs, we rent a car typically, but that's it. Other than that, we sleep until 11 if we want to, and stay up until 2 a.m.
Mhm.
We're not like,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Just keep
but
playing
some
in.
people are.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That trust me. I know. Yeah, like I don't my stepmom loves to have all these things that they go do on their vacations. And I'm like, that is not a vacation to me. I do not want to have to get up and no, I have to be at these certain places at certain times every day. I might get up and not feel like going on an excursion that
Mhm.
day. So I don't want to feel like I've locked myself in. Or what if the weather's crappy? I'd
Yeah.
rather fly by the seat of my pants with that kind of stuff on vacation. But no, I know a lot of people really want to have things like this day we're going to do this and tomorrow we're going to do
Yeah.
this. The only time I have ever really done that is if we're doing Disney with the kids. Then you have to
Yes,
be more
Disney, you
intentional.
have to be I had a spreadsheet for Disney,
Yeah.
the first time we
Yeah.
went, but, other than that, yeah, and some
Yeah.
people get real crazy on the Disney trips too,
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know.
like
Mhm. It's just not me, but to each their own. Some
yeah, to
people really
each
like
their
it.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing that it mentioned was uh, doing the TSA PreCheck stuff or global
Yeah.
entry, so that it makes that process of getting through security a little bit quicker for them. So check into
Yeah.
those things if they don't have it. But
And I would say on the TSA pre-check, pre-boarding, don't try to do that on the same day that you have a flight. Like, don't try to
Mhm.
go early and do that. Go on a whole different day when you have nothing else to do. And so that you're relaxed, you have all the documentation that you need, all of that.
Yeah,
So,
you're not
um,
stressed about missing a flight or
mhm.
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
Good tip.
and this is a little bit off topic, but I learned this year. I don't know if I told you this or not, but when I went to Costa Rica with my MBA immersion class, I had 30 days left on my passport. Did I tell you this story already
Oh gosh, yeah, you're not supposed to do
about the passport? No. So I had 30 days left on my passport from it expiring from when I was going. And so I thought I was good to go. I didn't think, because I didn't think I'd have enough time to renew it and get it back in time to go to Costa Rica or to go on the trip. And plus I had 30 days left on it. So it hadn't expired yet. So I show up at the airport at like 4 o'clock in the morning on the day I'm supposed to leave. And they were like, you can't go because Costa Rica requires you to have 3 months, 90
I was
days
gonna
left
say
on your passport.
some of them are
Every
so
country is
expensive.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months, yeah. Every country is different, but, so I ended up I had to fly, long story short, I had to go to San Diego to, a passport agency. You have to make an appointment. This is like if you need a passport in an emergency
Yeah.
situation. The only place that I could go that had an available appointment the quickest was San Diego. And San Diego is beautiful, by the way. So I actually didn't mind. I stayed in a hostel. I ate some of the best Italian food I've ever had. And got to explore a little bit of San Diego before I went to my Costa Rica trip. But I learned that the hard way. It was a little bit stressful. I can't imagine being a senior citizen.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
Navigate that, but, anyway, yeah, if you are traveling abroad, make sure that you have 6 months left
yeah.
on your passport.
Yeah. Yes, I have heard that. I did not know you had to go do that, but I
Yeah, I
have.
can't remember if I told you the story or not, but yeah, I stayed in a hostel in San Diego because at this point I was having to cancel all these flights and reschedule the flights, and I had flight credits here. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make this trip over to San Diego just as cheap as I can. And I looked on Airbnb and there was a hostel, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I've never stayed in a hostel before. I
No,
mean,
I haven't
let's
either.
go on an adventure." And it was the cutest place ever. It was above this pizza shop in downtown San Diego. I did have to carry my suitcase up a flight of stairs, but I had my own room with a bed and like a kitchenette, and
Mhm.
the bathrooms and the showers were shared, but they were private. I saw like one person that night, or while I was there. I only stayed one night, but $70 a night in San Diego. That's
Yeah, that's a
unheard of
steal.
on a short notice. Yeah. So I actually told Owen about it. My son, I was like, "Hey, you like to travel. If you and your buddies want to,
Mhm.
go, you should look at hostels because it's an inexpensive way to travel." So anyway, yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll hear from our sponsor for the month, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah. Losing a loved one is never easy, but having a plan in place can bring peace of mind. That's where Indiana Funeral Care comes in.
That's right. Whether you're pre-planning for yourself or making arrangements for a loved one, Indiana Funeral Care offers compassionate, affordable, and personalized services to honor every life in a meaningful way.
And they don't just handle traditional funerals, they offer cremation services, military honors, and even customized celebrations of life, because saying goodbye should be as unique as a life lived.
With locations in Indianapolis and Greenwood, their team is here to guide you through every step with care and respect, so you can focus on what matters most, your family.
Visit indianafuneralcare.com to learn more about pre-planning options and how they can help you create a beautiful farewell for your loved one.
Indiana Funeral Care, because saying goodbye should be about love, not stress.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Indiana Funeral Care. They help pay for this podcast, so we really appreciate them and all of our partners.
Yes, absolutely. I don't really think I had much else to talk about other than giving a little nugget for the month as a tip for and then I was also going to share just a fun little show that's on Netflix right now that's really cute, great, like easy to watch, lighthearted and funny. So and then anything else you feel like sharing too. But so we thought each month we'd do just a little valuable tip that might help navigating the aging process for your parents or loved ones a little easier. And so we say this all the time. I have heard every panel we have had for our Indy Senior Living Series events. It is always like the number one thing that people say, which is to start early and often in having conversations with your loved ones, even if it feels awkward or it feels like I don't need to know this stuff yet. So I thought one way might just be a simple way to kind of just start having those conversations is just to pick one topic that could be very general. So estate planning, just asking your parents like, hey, do you have a will, trust? Have you appointed anyone as power of attorney? Making sure they have beneficiaries lined up and who those are and that people know, kind of where to access that information. So just, you don't need to know all the details of that stuff, I wouldn't say in your first conversation, but just finding a way to make sure that they actually have those things in place. And then if they don't, well, tune back in here because we'll tell you what you need to do to make sure that they can get those things in place or what they need to have in place. But I thought that was a good
And
little.
also don't make it like this huge lecture, sit down conversation. Nobody likes that, kids and adults alike. I mean, just really like a little nugget here, a little nugget there. It's like, hey, do you have a will? No, I don't. Okay, just wondering, and then, start the conversation that way. And then, you know, what do you want to what do you want us to do with your body when you die? Like you can work up to those kinds of conversations.
Yeah. I think it's important. I will never forget sitting with a father and a son when dad was needing some home health care services back when I did that. And we were sitting having a conversation, and I feel like, the daughters tend to be just a little more like open to having those conversations or ease into it because
Yeah.
they're just natural caregivers generally. So they want to make sure they know how they're going to be able to do that. But this was a father and son, and I had asked about, power of attorney and healthcare directives, that kind of stuff. And dad was saying, "Oh yeah, I have that. It's in place. I have a security deposit box." Like he just started going through all the things that he has. It's all in a box. It's easy. Like it'll be fine. Okay. And so the son looks at me and he looks at his dad and he's like, "Well, I'm glad that you have all that stuff in place, but I have no idea how to access any of that." Like, and he's like, "Well, it's all in the box. It's a locked box." And he's like, "But where's the key, Dad?"
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, well, I guess I should tell you where the key is." So it's like he has all the things in place, but if something had happened to him, the son would have no idea how to get in that box and
Yeah.
access any of those records. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just starting early with those conversations and, piece by piece, like getting a little bit further in that conversation as it hopefully comes up, or just, but yes, no big lectures. That usually doesn't go over well. So,
Mm-mm.
yeah. So I thought that was just a quick little nugget to take with you as you're navigating this journey. Yeah.
I
And then,
wanted to add some other podcasts
oh yeah.
who that are having similar conversations as us. I think we could show other podcasts some love and hope
Mhm.
to return the favor at some point. But so I did a little search. I haven't verified every single one of these, but I have verified a few of them. Um, let's see. There's one called the Daughterhood, the podcast by Roseanne Corcoran.
Yeah, Daughterhood
Um,
is a national
yeah,
program, and that's
yeah,
a great podcast. Yeah.
yeah. That one I knew was legit because we know Jean
Mhm.
Ross, who's our local chapter for Daughterhood. That's a good one. This one's cute. Well, the name of it is called Roger That, with Mike and Tammy Ruggles, and they focus on, I believe, caregivers who are caring for loved ones with Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
I think that is it without getting too deep into their podcast. And then Happy Healthy Caregiver by Elizabeth Miller. And then there's another one too, the Whole Care Network. And so it is podcast, streaming radio, blogs, videos, and care courses. Um, and it looks like they have over 4,000 episodes and lots of downloads. So, um, just showing some other podcasters some love. And if somebody's listening to this or watching this, they're obviously into podcasts. So,
Mhm.
if you're looking for some additional content and resources, there you go.
Yeah, check them out. I might check a couple of those out myself. So,
Yeah. I know. We get podcast ideas from listening to other podcasts too. Ever since we started this, actually, number one, I've been listening to podcasts more, but also I'm paying attention to things like, how they introduce their commercials or what is their intro and what is their outro. I love our intro and outro, though. You did a really great job. I know I say that all the time, but they're fun. But they're so easy to listen to while you're on your way to work or, drive in to pick up kids or drop kids off or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten to the point now where I cannot do laundry. Like I can't go into my laundry room and switch laundry over or fold laundry without having a podcast on. Like, it usually takes me, 20 to 30 minutes to like do all the things and then go deliver them to my kids' rooms so that they can put them away. And I'm like, I have to be listening to something while I do that now. So who knows? It's people listen to the podcast all while they're working out, going to work, all kinds of things. So
yes. And by the way, we need to be better about reminding people. We hope that you will share our podcast. If you find the information valuable, even just share one episode to one person, because then that person will hopefully share it and that person, and it's a whole sort of network effect. So we hope that you will share our podcast, like, share, follow, comment, subscribe, all of the fun things.
So one other little thing I thought was the cutest show that I've seen in a really long time.
Yes.
It's on Netflix. And it's been out for a while, so people may have already seen it. But it's called A Man on the Inside with Ted Danson. It's a comedy, but it is a really good real life. Like I don't know who the writer is of this show, but they have to have had some sort of experience working in a senior community to be able to have done this show as well as they did, or really did their research, one or the other. But A Man on the Inside on Netflix, really cute show. If you just want something easy to watch, lighthearted, funny, emotional, all the things. It did all the things for me. But
I'm going to have to watch that. I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's cute. I mean, they're like 25-minute to 30-minute episodes. So I went through it really quick. But it's about a man has a mom that's living in a senior community and something valuable comes up missing. And so he hires a private investigator to try to figure out who stole his mom's valuable item. And
interesting.
Ted Danson is a widower who is trying to find a way to have something different in his life. And so the daughter's like encouraging him to find a new hobby, find a new group to hang out with or whatever. He ends up getting hired by the private investigator to be the man on the inside, to pretend he's moving into the senior community.
Oh, wow.
And gonna investigate and figure out who's the thief. And it's just his whole journey through that whole thing and how he ends up like having relationships with the people that live there and making new friends. And it's hilarious, but also so accurate to what people that actually work in a senior community
go
through and deal with on a daily basis. And so it's just a cute little show that would give you some insight from that whole world if you're not familiar with senior community.
Sweet. I'm going to check it out. I needed something else to watch on Netflix.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, like, share, follow, comment, subscribe, all the things.
See you later. Bye.